to another Dragon Ball Super card game video. And I don't know if you know, but Draftbox is dropping just around the corner, if not tomorrow or today, depending on when this actually drops or when I have time to post it, or depending on when you actually watch this, which could be sometime in the future. But I wanted to take some time in order to look at 10 different cards from my personal opinion, or my top 10 picks basically, specifically in the super rare and rare range for the draft box. Thankfully for this draft box is a little bit different from the last two, in which I don't think they're complete staples as far as in every color or generically available. I think a lot of these are really tied to different archetypes, and that's kind of where the direction the game has been going in the last couple sets, and I dig that. I think it's good to balance out the format and as well as the card pool just in general, and these cards sort of show that, not only for a draft box perspective, in which you can probably play a pretty good draft experience within it, and as well as for the consumers or just regular players, the prices aren't going to be too crazy. And I think we actually did already take a look at an unboxing video by the Cyberman. If you haven't checked that out already, definitely go and check that out. I do believe you get 7 SRs and maybe 5 GFRs, which is the campaign rare. I have to take a look at the rates for that, but definitely go check that out if you want to go ahead and see a draft box experience, unboxing, and what they look like in person, or at least over camera. And finally, definitely subscribe, because I have a slew of decks that I have to get out. So probably in the next couple weeks, maybe even the remainder of the month or into the next month, I'll just be posting decks and as well as gameplay to go with it if I do find the time for it. All right, first up is hopefully not a surprise, and all of these are not in any order. They're all super rares and rares, but not in any particular order, just the ones that I just kind of thought they were really good and the reasons why. And of course, some of the reasons for this one, as well as the possible decks, and of course all of the other cards we're gonna go through. But this is Demon God Demigra, True Power Unleashed. He's an Overrealm 5, pay 2, or Dark Overrealm 2, or Dark Overrealm 5 for 2. And basically, it just means that you can pick either or. You can pay the cost for Overrealm, or you can pay the cost for Dark Overrealm. The difference, of course, is if you Dark Overrealm, it'll stay on the field, which is really, really important, because for this one, you draw a card, choose up to one of their battle cards and warp it, and then every time it attacks, they have to warp one from their hand. And this is one of the best cards, only because, again, one of the reasons, is a low-cost 30k. For 2 energy, you get a 30k. And that's sort of like, since Adventure begins, or at least into this draft box, if you look at the Trunks card, and I believe the 1-cost counter card, you're getting out these 30k vanillas for pretty cheap. And this one is not a vanilla. You just paid the 2 for 5 Overrealm, and now you have a 30k attacker that you get removal, you draw one, and now you get to rip 1 card of their hand. I think this can be played in really any deck. Obviously, we have to see the possible decks down here, or Demigod can play it just as a theme, and just because you can overrealm both Dark Overrealm and as well as Overrealm with Wormhole. I do believe you can play the 4-drop card that came out of this set as well, and then play it at the end of the turn. It's not as effective because you have to wait until the end of the turn, hope it doesn't get removed, and then swing for it. Plus, you don't actually get the overwhelm effect. So those are kind of the things you have to kind of watch out for. But overall, really good card. You kind of, get to play it in any mono black deck. You get to play it in Goku, because you get to recur those warp cards from the warp into the drop, and then make sure that you have enough for that. You can play it in Dark Broly. It's another 30k that supports the whole entire deck and fits the theme of it. And I'm sure there's a lot of other decks. And of course, throughout this whole video, if I miss anything, definitely let me know in the comments below. Now we have the Hoodagon Man. Okay, so I haven't been building too many things with Hoodagon. I have been building like other things like Burn and Blue Stuff and the Bardock's crew and things like that. But for this, I've gone against this card, and as well as the entire engine, probably about a dozen or like a couple dozen times, I think, at this point on Untap. And it's really, really just annoying. Like, it's man, the whole gist of it is a 9-drop. You get to play it from the previous chain as well, going up the chain and then playing this bad boy out. Then the activate main is that if your leader card is green or a Hoodagon, basically the Phantom Dragon, you get to choose one Hoodagon with 4, 6, or 7 in your battle area, KO it. That procs off something. You play another Hoodagon, and then you get to play this from your drop. And then the auto is that every time you play or use the blocker, you get to rip a card out of their hand. You get to choose 1 card, which is super big. Plus, he does have Revive in which means like if there's a couple shenanigans in which, of course, if it gets KO'd, they somehow remove it, or whatever it may be. You get to use Revival, pitch a multicolor card, and now you have a 30k blocker again that they have to deal with. Or if you have, because this one says it doesn't negate for the duration of turn, it doesn't say once per turn either, you get to use Zarbon, restand it, and now you get to have another blocker that rips a card out of their hand for both of those options. So honestly, it being a continuous blocker, a little bit of hand destruction, Hoodagon support, Revival support for blue-green, really haven't seen too much of that in the last few sets as well. And then, of course, the possible decks is Hoodagon, Kaioken Goku, plus because you get to not only abuse the healing pod with the Kaioken shenanigans that we had already, which is kind of like a tier 2 deck, maybe a little bit lower than that before, but with this is a little bit better with the actual chain, the new GFR, and as well as just the Kaioken support, and where you draw a card every time you use Revival, or draw 2 cards on the Awakened side. So yeah, overall, just Revive decks has just been a good boost for this card. Now that brings us to the Son Goku Nimbus Master. And long story short, basically you get to pay 1 combo on their turn, and then now you get to have a 2 cost or less vanilla for free after the battle ends. And honestly, that is really, really good. Not only you get to thin your deck, you get to look through it, and you get to have a 20k attacker on their turn being played. It is super, super good. Like, this card can be played in any deck that has vanilla, and you can kind of just help yourself to another attacker for cheap and to play things on their turn. Now, the other thing is that this activate main, in which the drop area to warp, you get this warp 1 from your drop area. A skillless battle card doesn't have to be a 2 cost, it can be a 1 cost, etc. And then you get to play for 1 energy for a 15k attacker. I mean, overall, this card is super versatile. It's generic. It has a lot of good synergy with Dimension support. You get to play it on their turn as a cheap attacker. And of course, you can get to play this with hit, since you can use it from your deck or drop area. So if you play this or you combo this with on the opponent's turn after they KO your previous vanilla, then you can just get that right back if you don't have any in your deck, which is super good. And of course, Kid Ku, the original Kid Ku, has a lot of support, or gets a lot of support from this, and really any vanilla deck. You can kind of do whatever you want with this, honestly. Honestly, what makes it so good. Okay, now that brings us to Korin Tower's Secret Medicine. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. I want to say Korin's Tower Secret Medicine, but whatever. As activate battle leader card is ready, choose up to 1 of your cards. It can be your Gudison, it can be your leader, it can be any of your battle cards, etc. And it gains 5k power for the turn. If it's your opponent's turn, you get to neg something 5k and ignoring barrier. So super strong just as a red Sensu Bean. Has a lot of good support for red blue. Honestly, you get to pair Sensu Bean and as well as this. I don't think we're in a format in which we have to go against a lot of different things that like go wide boards. I think we're more go tall, like a progressionist like sort of thing, like a lower to higher curve sort of meta right now. But it is really good for wing / bobbity, anything that has like 5k or less. Or you can always do this on your leader and then neg a battle card on their end, and it becomes a 1 cost 10k. And then of course the possible decks, really any red deck can utilize this. Bulma is really good for this. Now she's a regular 15k leader. And of course, Cooler is an awesome option for this as well. Now that brings us to Higher Dragon, a kind friend. Basically, you pay 1 yellow during their turn after you combo with this. If you have 2 or more energy, which is pretty important because you can't do it turn 1, of course. At the end of the battle, with this card is played in a combo or used as a combo, you play up to 2 skills from your deck or drop area, which is super important. This is why it makes these cards really, really good. And then shuffle your deck afterwards. You can't use it for the rest of your turn. This is super good because it is more 10k skill support. One of my favorite archetypes is that yellow Kid Ku, or the yellow Gohan, basically. It's more monster draw support. Speaking of the same thing, you get to draw this, or draw 1 from this on the awakened side of a yellow Gohan. And then you get to play 2 skillless battle cards, which sets you up for the 6-drop for Kid Ku or Gohan, 6-drop dual attacker, and as well as the 3-drop Unison as well, because now you get to combo those things on their turn if you need to play the Unison, play them for free, and then set yourself up for success later. And then as far as the possible decks, honestly, yellow Kid Ku, any OG Kid Ku, Any yellow deck is able to play this because you only have to play a yellow energy. You don't have to have a yellow leader. You don't have to have Kid Ku as a leader, whatever it may be. I think overall this is such a really, really good card, and hopefully I see it utilized in the coming format. Now we have Intersecting Fates. Oh, I don't know why they printed this card for blue, but they just printed it. Honestly, it's a free searcher for blue. Like, you look at the top two, it's a super big consistency booster. It's a blue baby support technically, because now the blue baby card that plays something from the bottom of your deck can go ahead and be played more consistently, I would say. And basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you look at the top two, you pick one, and you put the other one at the bottom of your deck. And it doesn't matter what card it is, and you don't have to show your opponent because it just says one card. And then you untap one mono blue energy at the end of the turn. It is kind of a deterrent for being a mono blue energy, but honestly, that is still really good because it is still free at the end of the turn. Possible decks is Soul Striker, which makes a lot of sense. It's in the format right now. It's doing really well, and it can boost a lot of consistency for the things that you really need to see. Blue Baby, just like I was saying before. Hoodagon for the things that you're like the engine pieces that you're looking for, even though a lot of it just kind of plays it out from the deck anyway. Vegito, just Vegito. I don't really need to say anything else, right? Tyrannical Blow. So I know this card, I don't think it's gonna be viewed as something really, really good, but honestly, it's kind of like Gold Bloodlust's generic replacement, just like I have it here. Anything or the battle card is being played at 3 or less is played as skills negated, and then you get to choose up to one of their battle cards, unison cards, and negate the skills. That's super, super important, simply because that things like Jiren, things like I don't know, anything that has skills on it, like Baby Unison, for instance, you can play this guy out, and then you can choose their Unison, and now they can't -5, and now they can't use their counter skills for free or for 2 cards. There's a lot of things going on with this card, and I think it's really good. Honestly, it's really good. And the other thing is that it's kind of a big answer to engine starter. So like if you're on the play, you play 4 of these guys, or side in 4 of them, or just have it in your hand. You're going first. You have an open red yellow energy. You're going against Gotens. You're going against Red Broly, whatever it may be. You get to play this guy, and now they can't start their engine because now the skills are gone. Then you have to pay another energy for whatever it may be, or wait until the next turn. So that way you can set up for whatever your turn is. That's kind of my thinking for it. I think in practical means, when I've been playing this card, it has come up because things that have deflect generally are 4 or more, right? So this card in particular, paying 1 energy to stop something that could end the game, like a Kaba or whatever it may be, is still really good. And of course, the possible decks, Yellow Kid Ku, Gotenks, and as well as Sin Shenron. I think Sin Shenron does benefit from this quite a bit because it is still controlling. They still have to deal with the Revenge Blocker 30k that it comes back. So there you go. Now, Son Goku Unwavering Conviction. Another personal favorite for me. Not so much of like top 10 of forever. I'm sure there's a better card than this, but honestly, being a double strike 20k for one that not only on their turn, just this is really important because well, let's put it this way. For it to be effective, it's going to be on their turn. Let's say they're swinging at you. This one says place up to 1 card from your opponent's combat area in the drop area, and then choose one of your unison cards or battle cards other than this card and gain to 5k. The reason why I say it's effective on their turn is because you can't activate this on your turn. That's my understanding, but when you really think about it, it's not an auto. It doesn't proc off on those type of things. So if you're swinging and they have to combo, it has to kind of come back to you in order for it to proc off. You know, things like the Green Broly chain, when we had that, you kind of had to wait until they are swinging at you in order for you to use your activate battle effect. Same thing for everything else. Again, I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. So really effectively, it's when they swing at you, they have a bunch of stuff in their combo area, like a super combo, and then you get to use the ability to pick one of those cards out of that and then give it a 5k boost. But since it is up to 1, you can swing, and then with this on the field, another battle card or your unison card, you can go ahead and activate the effect and get a free 5k. So still a lot of good stuff here, a lot of good Alliance green, red-green support, because it is a one cost 4-drop / 20k, so Alliance is going to get that 20k boost, and just having another red-green card is still really good. Mini rolling on the stick, just like I was saying, just not it doesn't proc off the autos. And then possible decks, Surge Broly, any kind of green text, because it is only a green energy. And the next is going to be Piccolo Jr. This is probably my favorite card, other than the Kitsu, the higher dragon support. I think this is probably my favorite card, I think. Basically, if your letter card is red, it has double strike and 16k, which is a nice number, honestly. This card gains the equal, well, yeah, alliance, there you go. You draw 2 cards, and then they get to burn 1 life if there are 3 or less, which effectively means if you're a 3 or less, you swing with this, it's a double striker, you're going for a game, most times if not. Basically, just alliance support is really nice. Another burn option, which is really cool. I love burn. It's a 2-cost closer and almost a guaranteed 3 damage. And the reason why I say that is because in Yamcha, it becomes a 3 damage guarantee if you have the right setup, which in my future death profile for Yamcha, I'll go ahead and go over that. But for Red Baby, you get to restand it with Vengeful Onslaught, and then for Burn Han, it's just another option because you're going to be burning them down, and you get to effectively use Alliance as well. Last one is this card. The only reason why I say this is because why did this Invoker need another extra card? Well, 2 extra cards that are pretty good. You know, like this one is basically a Senzu Bean plus Royal Condemnation for 6 or less. And I'm just like, okay, why? I don't know. It's a good card. I don't know what to tell you. A shout out to Aspira. This is kind of why I put him in there. There you go. Anyway, except for that scuffed last option, let me know what you think about the set and what are your favorite cards out of it. I'm gonna have some fun posting these Dropbox decks on the channel, and then any other discussion decks. I'm trying to get back into the groove of making videos, but let me know what you want to see and what are your favorite cards, and I will see you in the next one.